Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Energy Speaks Back, powered by B2B Energy. My name is Paul Webb, the founder of B2B Energy, and I'm also your host. Each week, I bring to you energy experts from around the world. This is episode 179. Our purpose, as always, is to provide a good understanding of energy management knowledge from around the world, which is available today for us to deliver savings that impact on our planet. Welcome, energy enthusiasts, to another enlightening episode of Energy Speaks Back. In this episode, we interview another inspiring individual who has dedicated his life to advancing sustainable energy solutions and driving innovation in clean technology. From his early passion in the industry to leading impactful ventures across the globe, he continues to be a powerful voice in shaping our sustainable future. Our conversation explores the powerful journey of innovation and sustainability, from his early business ventures to his current role as a driving force behind clean tech investments that are accelerating the transition to a low carbon future. So without any further ado, let's invest our time with Ted Konyi. Good afternoon, Ted. How are you today?
I'm very well, Paul. Thanks. Good afternoon.
And how amazing. I think we interviewed each other back in 22, and you was in an airport.
Yes.
Traveling.
Yes.
As you always
seem to be.
do. Mm-hmm. Always seem to be traveling.
Yep.
Obviously, that accent, Canadian accent.
Yes.
I remember last time I got a bit mixed up, didn't I? But yeah, Canadian accent. So, and you're in the UK, in London today. How amazing is that?
I'm in London and I'm in the UK at this point for 3 months.
Right.
I plan on emigrating in January. Business here for us has really taken off. I think probably primarily a function of high utility rates and government mandate.
Yeah.
And we see a big opportunity in Europe as well. So being in this time zone is far easier for the people that we've got in Germany at the moment, and we hope to expand beyond the German marketplace as well.
Yeah.
So,
How many countries are you operating in now?
So my office is in Vancouver. So we've got Canada, the United States. Anything outside of Europe, UK, and North America, we typically work with distributors.
Right.
They're not places that we think we're going to get to ourselves, and so that's the better sales channel for us.
Yeah.
So, for instance, got a distributor in South Korea, young woman, very bright, very engineering oriented. Got some great pilots going with some very big companies in Korea.
Right.
We've got a small group in Singapore. We've got a distributor in Australia. We have a distributor in India. Nothing really much where you go in Southeast Asia.
Right. Maybe we need to look at that.
And maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We did have for a period of time, and I had a guy in the Philippines, and I think that's an ideal market for us.
Yeah.
He made a few inroads to people like Jollibee and on, but it never really.
Just no, we've got a Jollibee in Earls Court now.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Most people in North America have never heard of Jollibee.
Yeah.
Right. So unless you've been there, but I've been to Manila 3 times.
Right. So I was just going to say, so with these offices and these distributors, hence that's why you find yourself traveling regarding the need for that.
I mean, I consider myself a people person, right? So I like to go and actually press the flesh and get to meet people and spend some time with them and understand, which is
why we've been talking last couple of weeks.
And I'm glad I'm moving here because there's so much activity going on in the UK. And for people like you that, you're networking and so on, as we've already talked about, the people that you've already introduced me to, even in the short time that I've been here. So I think moving to the UK makes a lot of sense. I was finding living in Vancouver that I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning just to try and get on calls
bring on the line,
the UK.
Yeah.
And that makes it for a pretty long day, right? Or you lose out at the other end, and my wife didn't like that particularly. By 8 o'clock, 8:30, I was kind of beat. But no, the business has gone extremely well here. I'm happy to say that we've been recognized by CBRE
because you've been collecting awards recently, haven't you?
We just collected an award. Very happy about that, and we've been made a preferred supplier now, which creates a lot of exposure, particularly within the CBRE ranks. It's a great company to work with, but very much siloed. And what I mean by that is you've got, I think the count in the UK is 76 different account managers. They don't necessarily talk to one another, but by moving to this next level, we get the ability to talk to all of them. So. Even in the 2 weeks since we got the award, the level of activity with CBRE has climbed quite significantly. But I've been an energy efficiency evangelist for over 20 years, ever since I got involved with this technology, even though I'm not an engineer.
Let's stop you there, because I'm going to ask you, tell us about your origin story, because this is really, the interview today is, I want to share and get over to energy experts, that there's entrepreneurs out there, there's people out there, there's experts. We're all experts within this industry in our own sector as such. And I want to get over to and inspire and find some sort of incentive for other people to join us, to understand what the experts are actually doing.
Right.
There's so much we can learn from each other. Even though we're all, so I always say we all speak different languages, but we all speak the same language of reducing consumption. And I know your technologies and your approach is all about reducing consumption.
Right.
So, for the benefit of our audience, can you give some background story and tell us about your origin story? What brought you into the industry?
So, ironically, first off, my background's primarily financial. So it's not engineering, it's not technical, it's primarily financial. And ironically, and I'm going to say ironically because you'd think, okay, I'm waving the green flag, I'm in the energy efficiency business, but actually I became a student of the energy business by raising capital in the oil and gas business.
Right.
And so I studied the oil and gas business quite extensively. Energy is life, after all. None of us can.
You said that during the week.
Yeah, none of us can do without energy, right? Most of us take energy for granted. You plug your kettle in the wall, and you expect that it's going to boil water. Right? You don't really think too much about, well, how did those electrons get to that kettle?
Exactly.
And how is it doing this heating work, etc. You just take it for granted, right? It's like, we don't worry about how a car engine works. We just get in the car, we turn the key, we expect it to start, and we put it in gear and we go. So, being a student of the energy business, you start to get an understanding, okay, where does all this power come from? I come from a part of Canada where you've got mountains and rain, and so we have a lot of hydroelectric, and I know, okay, that's where the electrons are coming from. It's gravity and water going downhill, and they harness that by, the turbines. Most of the places in the world don't have that luxury. No. So, coal, obviously.
Canada is also a very big oil industry area, isn't it?
Huge oil industry, and again, I've been a student of the energy business and the oil and gas industry specifically. I'm going to date myself now, back from 1988 when I first got involved in it.
Right.
So Canada is the third largest reserves in the world.
Right.
Most people don't know that Canada is the biggest supplier of oil to the United States.
Right.
Over 4 million barrels a day, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Right? But they take for granted that America's got all this oil production. The truth is, most of their oil production, particularly in the last 10, 12 years with shale, it all goes offshore. Their refineries can't refine that oil into gasoline.
Right.
They use Canadian heavy oil, because that's what their refineries can take, to produce the gasoline. So if for whatever reason Canada stopped shipping oil to the United States, there'd be a massive shortage of petrol, right? In the U.S. So, but being...
Does Mr. Trump know that?
I suspect that his
That was a tongue-in-cheek question.
Yeah, no, I know. But, and I try and stay away from politics if I possibly can, right?
We don't talk politics.
No,
we joke about politics.
We joke about politics.
But we don't talk politics on this show.
I think that the general population in the United States doesn't understand that their oil and gas industry is actually, I'll maybe push this envelope a bit, in peril.
Right.
They think they're energy independent. but and this is part of my view about the energy efficiency business is that, as a general rule, having been in that oil and gas business, I understand that the best day of production that an oil well has or a natural gas well has is the first day of production. From there on, the production level declines over time.
Right.
With the most recent increases in the United States being all shale, both for natural gas and for oil, the decline rates on shale-driven oil and natural gas is 4 times, 5 times the natural decline rate of a normal conventional well. So the wells in Saudi Arabia might decline by 5% per annum.
Right.
The wells in the shale zone decline in the first 2 years 80%. Then it gradually slows down. Okay, so it becomes a vicious treadmill where if you're not continuing to drill, which is entirely dependent on price, you're going to keep dropping your level of production, which means that the cost is going to go up. Ultimately, the earth only has so much oil and natural gas to give, right? So I'm still a big believer, even though it's not popular anymore, in this notion of peak oil. We are in a very, very short window of oil, lots of oil, right? Lots of natural gas. And the benefit of that for us has been that our standard of living has increased dramatically in the last 50 years. That may not happen for much longer. And the reason that there's so much, I believe, the reason there's so much waste, when I look around at the buildings that we're looking at here and realize the amount of waste that there is partly a function of the fact that nobody understands that this energy has to come from somewhere. Right? And so, the latest transition to wind and solar, that's great, renewables are great, but the intermittency is a problem. So again, back to energy efficiency. The saved kilowatt hour is the cheapest kilowatt hour. And there are so many technologies out there that can do that. And again, I've become a student of all of the energy efficiency technologies. SmartCool is only one. I liked it and got involved with it 21 years ago because with SmartCool focusing on HVAC typically represents up to 50% of a commercial building's
big part of the building, isn't it?
Consumption, right. So if you're going to make an impact, I mean, okay, it used to be lighting was one of the biggest expenses. Along comes LED, and it still surprises me to this day, and I know, seeing your posts on LinkedIn and others in your network posting on LinkedIn, talking about how they walk into an office and it's still got fluorescence or it's still got incandescent lighting. And you think, well, I mean, LED's been around for a long time, and it's such a no-brainer.
I was in a building the other day where they're putting LEDs in one area, but stockpiling the fluorescence because most of the building is fluorescence.
Right.
And then what they're doing, obviously they need the ballasts and things, so everything else comes with it. It's not just the fluorescent, it's everything.
Right.
And they know that they've got this day, D-Day will come where they're like, you can't buy them, you can't support them.
Right.
But soon they're not going to be
it's over.
eBay is going to be great long term for fluorescent lighting.
Sure.
Because everyone's going to be taking LEDs replacement and then selling.
Yeah.
We're going to see a lot of trading before that, so that we are still going to see on a regular basis the LED problem, the non-LED problem.
Yeah. But once you've done LED, the question is, what's next? Right? And so where HVAC might have been second to lighting back in the day when there was incandescent and fluorescent, now with LEDs become in second position, and HVAC is in number one position in terms of consumption. So the fact that our technology focuses on that, I think is great. It's not a be-all, end-all. It's a part of a bigger solution. Right.
And interestingly as well, you're saying air conditioning. 5 years ago, we didn't really have the high percentage of air conditioning in our buildings, because guess what? The planet wasn't as warm as it was today.
Right.
So we didn't need air conditioning.
Right.
So now there's getting more demand. So air conditioning is getting more. So the need for, and it always amazes me, the technologies, the external and the internal, they don't communicate with each other.
Right.
And that's what you do, isn't it? You bring communications closer together, basically.
We do.
Basically.
We do. And the other thing, the other trend that's happened, of course, and everybody's familiar with now, is this electrification of heat.
Yeah.
So along with the air conditioning requirement, okay, you've got this thing called a heat pump, which, wow, wonderful device, it does both.
Yeah.
It does air conditioning and it does heating.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's good, except where's all the power coming from?
Yeah.
And we're back to this, energy is life part, where fine, you want to get rid of using fossil fuels. Great objective, great goal. What's going to replace it? So electrification, great. You're going to electrify transport, EVs. I know you drive one, right? Where's the power come from?
Yeah.
All of a sudden you've replaced going to the petrol station and filling your car up with petrol with power from the grid. Okay, well that's going to tax the grid. Where's the power come from for the grid? Now you're talking about electrifying heat, right? All of the boilers in the UK that are using natural gas or in some cases even oil to power the boilers. Okay, we're going to move to heat pumps. Fine, they're really efficient appliances. However, they now are using electricity for generating that heat. So you've got EVs, you've got heat, and then you've got one little thing called AI. And all of the data centers that are going into place, right? Everybody's now on ChatGPT or Grok
everyone.
And rather than using Google, you're using AI.
Yeah.
Well, every time you do an AI search, it's consuming way more than a Google search.
And Google is now using AI as well.
Right.
So whether you want to use it or not, you're using it.
Right. So my point really is that, okay, understanding the energy business and understanding energy is life. I'm having a great time with finally having an opportunity to really showcase our technology, to have it being more widely accepted. The likes of CBRE, we were finalists in the Weights Innovation Group, so that's happening. Finally, after 21 years of being what I consider to be on the bleeding edge, we're finally in a position where the business is actually growing, and it's a nice place to be.
Are you still bleeding, no?
No.
Right.
No, we're not. No, it's become
so
quite.
The wounds you've healed as such.
Well,
now you're in a position there'll never be an actual healing process as such.
No, there's a lot of blood to sop up, using that same analogy, right? There's a lot of blood on the floor at the moment, and I've got some extremely patient and devoted investors that have supplied all of the capital that was required to get here. My objective personally is to give them a payday for all of their support.
Yeah.
I
know what I feel the driver is. Do you think there's two drivers, obviously cost.
Yep.
And then there's the green climate action, etc.
Yep.
Do you think one leads the other? I think still for me, it's cost is driving this 100%.
Economics is still driving the bus. There's no question about it. Companies want to wave the green flag, and they're being forced to. Government mandates are forcing them to. But ultimately, economics is what drives the bus. I can relay a little anecdotal story. When I first got in this business, we opened an office in Houston, we opened an office in Florida, and then a bunch of sales people that joined us. And one in particular got us in the door at Walmart. So, this is kind of a couple of years into owning the technology after we acquired the technology. And Walmart's, got 50, we call them RTUs, rooftop units. They're packaged air conditioning units on a rooftop. They've got 5,000 stores. You can do the math pretty quickly. It's a lot of rooftop units. We were able to do a pilot with them, and we said, hey, we think we're going to save you 20 to 25% of your energy on these rooftop air conditioning units. And this was in Dallas. So again, it was just air conditioning, not heating, but in Dallas, it's maybe 8 months, 9 months of the year that you get air conditioning. So a big chunk of the year, we were going to be able to save them something. At the time, we priced it out at $2,000 US installed per rooftop unit for our device. We got them the 25% savings that we had estimated, and we're doing this. We're thinking, okay, that's 100,000 a rooftop times 5,000 rooftops. It's $500 million. We hit a home run. And then reality came into play, and the reality was back then, Dallas was one of the least expensive utility rates in the world, at 7 cents a kilowatt hour.
Wow.
And so the way that it penciled out, it was going to be a 5-year plus payback period, and Walmart said no.
It's not.
We're looking for
not
2
palatable.
years. We're looking for 2 years.
Yeah.
And so then I put my financial hat on, and I think, 2 years? That's a 50% per annum return. Where do you get a 50% per annum return? That's I can't even fathom a 50% per annum return. Okay, fine. I understand that maybe the average life of the equipment that's left is going to be 10 years or 12 years. So you need to get a payback faster than, if something's going to be there forever. But so that little anecdotal story is really all about the economics driving the bus. Now, the reason I'm here is that, fortunately or unfortunately, UK utility rates are extremely high. Obviously, part of it has to do with the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict and the unfortunate situation that's going on there. But it's driven not only the UK, but all of the EU to basically put sanctions on Russia and not import gas, even though it is coming through the back door.
And in addition to that, you mentioned the need for electrification,
right?
The grid.
Right.
We need to upgrade our grid to cope with all these, new things that are happening.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? You put more premium on the energy bills. So unfortunately, everyone else has to pay for it.
It's one way for sure to kill demand.
Yeah.
Is high prices.
Yeah.
Right? Because then people do what they're doing, which is look for ways to reduce their consumption.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like a tax. Right? How do I avoid the tax? Well, put a sweater on.
Yeah.
Turn your heat down. Or
reduce those kilowatt hours.
Reduce the kilowatt hours, exactly. Yeah. You showed me what you're doing in your house.
Yeah.
You're monitoring everything. You're turning off all of the standby power.
And I'm not the only one. I know many people.
Of course,
doing
because
that.
Your cost is extremely high.
Exactly.
Here.
Yeah.
Like I say, but I come from a part of the world where we're blessed because we happen to live where there's mountains and rain. And 50, 60 years ago, the people in power decided they were going to build hydroelectric dams, and the government got involved in building hydroelectric dams. So fine, we still have cheap power. I mean, the comparison is unbelievable. Commercial power in Canada is the equivalent of probably 6p?
Wow.
Per kilowatt hour?
That's nothing.
No, like 1/5, 1/4 of what you pay. So clearly, if you're in my business, which is in the saving kilowatt hour business, you want to go where it's going to give you the best economic return, and that's where the utility rates are the highest. So yes, Stephen Martin.
Do you know who's paying the highest in the country?
In this country?
In the world. Where's the highest prices in the world?
Well, okay, so there's
any feel for that?
Yeah, I do. There's highest and then there's highest. Okay, and what I mean by that is that if you're an island nation with no indigenous fuel source.
Yeah.
Let's even take Hawaii or Puerto Rico, Philippines.
Yeah.
You're paying a lot because your electricity is generated by typically diesel.
Right.
So it all fluctuates on the price of a barrel. We did some installations in Jamaica. Jamaica has a fixed base price for their power, and then they have a fuel surcharge.
Right.
And the fuel surcharge is directly linked to the price of a barrel of oil. Right? When oil was $100 a barrel, they were paying 60 cents US, give or take 48, 50 cents P rather. So yeah, they would be highest.
So during COVID, they was quite happy because with the barrel price, well, I don't think they could give it away, could they? At one time?
Well, it was negative for a very brief period of time. Yeah. But yeah. Still, transmission and distribution make up a big chunk of it, right? So it's the input
the non-commodity costs, as we call it in the UK.
Yeah, non-commodity costs.
I mean, I'm going to stop you slightly.
Yeah.
I just want to go back.
Yep.
So, college.
Yeah. Nope.
You didn't go to college. You went to school.
Hard Knocks.
Obviously.
School of Hard Knocks.
What's that?
Getting an education in the real world.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I studied finance. I got my certified financial planners designation, my securities license. All of that kind of came after the fact.
I'm just interested in the transition from doing the numbers to so them numbers, the pound notes, the units become kilowatt hours. When was that? Can you remember what triggered that all?
Well, as I say, I've been a student of the energy business since probably '88.
Right.
And then when I first saw what the original inventor of smart cool technology was doing, that's when I started to equate the dollars to kilowatt hours.
You started
at that
getting
point.
into it then.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it was back then that you started with smart cool, and then today you're still with the smart cool story. How many years is that?
Many people have said, Ted, you should have let it go and moved on.
I think you said that in the last interview.
Yeah, I'm not that guy.
No.
I'm passionate about this. Does it mean something for myself and my family financially? Of course. But as much as anything else, I see it as my reputation. I've probably raised $20 million for this company.
Wow.
Over a 21-year period of time. And in that same period of time, we probably had sales in the $35 or $40 million range. So that's how much money has gone into kind of operating the business.
Yeah.
But as I say, I think we're finally at as they would say in Canada, the inflection point, where the hockey stick goes up.
Right.
And it's being driven.
You're past the break point.
Past the tipping point.
Tipping point.
Yeah, past the tipping point. So, but I stay on top of all kinds of other technologies as well, acknowledging the fact that we're not alone. In fact, probably the best approach for buildings is a holistic approach.
Yeah.
Right. Looking at what can we bring to the table here.
Yeah.
So I love collaborating with other companies that.
And I think that's been important. That's the important thing to bring to the group regarding B2B Energy Network, because for you, you're an ideal person to introduce, because the people we've been talking to, sometimes they're doing similar stuff to you, sometimes they're doing the complete opposite, but it doesn't matter because you're all about this holistic approach, which I think is important.
Right. Yeah. I was recently at Expo Real in Munich. In fact, Monday I was there at the conference, which it was my first time at that particular conference. I will definitely be going back. I'll be much better prepared the next time. It's massive. It's where all of the property owners, property facilities managers, etc. But they had a whole hall that was focused on transition. And I met one particular company there that their business, they've been in business for about 10 years. And again, they're in their particular space evangelists for the energy efficiency thing. And they're bringing technology to hot water radiators, commercial. They've done 1,000 sites and probably amounts to, who knows, 5,000, 10,000 radiators. They've got a remote control, remote communicating thermostat that they put on these hot water radiators. And the AI that they've got is in the cloud. And so it looks at patterns of usage. So this is in offices, in retail locations, etc. So as an example, they got a pilot right now with 25 locations of one of the biggest banks in Germany. But they're talking to us because they're saying our customers are asking us what else is out there that can help them.
What's next?
Right? So somebody that's adopting their technology, or for that matter, somebody that's adopting our technology, their mindset is already now geared to energy efficiency. So again, what you bring to the table in terms of your network, your group, should all be collaborating because we're all basically pitching the same thing to the customer, right? You need to think about waste.
It's quite frightening if you was to sit in the group and say, who would you really want to speak to? 9 times out of 10, you'll all say the same name.
Yeah.
You know, or the same groups of names.
Yep.
You know, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, or even the sector. Oh, I want to talk to accountants. Oh, I want to talk to hotels.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah.
Why shouldn't we all be collaborating and working out how we can work together on it?
Yeah, exactly. So
I think the organisations would benefit from that as well. a joined up approach.
Absolutely.
Rather than keep getting all these different people coming to it.
Absolutely.
Because then they get confused.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest problem. Everyone knows they need to reduce their consumption, which then reduces their cost. And we know it reduces carbon. But where do I go?
Right.
You know, I don't need to go anywhere because I'm going to be bombarded by people, but who do I speak to?
Right.
Rather than someone coming and coordinating it all for them.
Right. And any of these technologies that it's not going to be completely additive, right? So if we're able to reduce HVAC consumption, particularly with heat pumps, by 25 or 30%, which we can, somebody comes along with remote thermostat controls, it's not going to be, they can't add 20% to that and make it 50% reduction, but it'll take it from 70 down to 55%. So I think from the customer's perspective, they do get confused, and it's a matter of allocation of capital, which is the whole other area that I think really should be addressed. That if there was a way where the customer would basically, they're paying the bill now. So if it's £10,000 a month or £100,000 a month, they're paying the bill now. If waste is represented by a third of that or even 25% of that, that's a lot of monthly capital that would be available to cover the cost of any of these technologies. And it's putting that package together, so I really think a lot that it's a financing arrangement, and it's a win-win-win.
So I'm going to give you a figure, it's 50%.
50%, yeah.
And 50% of that waste is attributed to people, and the other 50% is attributed to technology.
Right.
The people turn off, turn down.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff is, let's see how we're controlling, let's see whether we need to upgrade.
Yeah.
Is the next part of it.
Well, I mean, so economics always drives the bus.
Yeah.
I watched a great movie a while ago, just as an example. I think it was called Suburbia. It was really talking about how in North America suburbs happened. And it was all as a function of the automobile and the fact that petrol was so inexpensive that it let people go and travel into the suburbs, and where they could get a much better standard of living as a result of having their own piece of land and a much bigger house. I come to the UK, and we've been looking for places to live. Everything's so small here compared to Canada and the United States.
Yeah, right.
But I understand why. It predates the automobile.
Yeah.
Right? You had to be close.
Yeah.
You could only have small accommodations because of the density that was required. Because if you needed to get to work or whatever, you were either walking or it was going to be public transit.
Yeah.
I mean, your train system and underground system here is unbelievable compared to what we experience over there.
But we would say to you, your roads are unbelievable.
True.
Long straight roads to go from A to B, and you drive for days, didn't you, on that same road?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But we've got big spaces, obviously, right?
Yeah.
It's a huge country that we've got, and very limited density of population.
That has made me smile that everything's so small here.
Yeah.
That is,
But then again, so back to the economics question. If it wasn't for cheap fuel, cars wouldn't have developed. Suburbs wouldn't have developed.
No.
In Vancouver now, they're saying, hey, nobody can afford housing there. And so they're densifying. They're basically saying, hey, you can't have a 100-foot by 200-foot lot in the city with one house on it and only have one family in it. We want you to build, they're calling them lane homes, or effectively to be like coach houses, to densify the city, which then will reduce the amount of automobile traffic. We put in bike lanes.
Yeah.
Vancouver's a bit tougher to bike than perhaps here because of the hills and everything else, but still, So times are changing.
Yeah.
Times are changing, and energy efficiency, I think, has its day in the sun now.
So from day one, 20 years ago when you started the smart call journey,
Yep.
where are we today? Is that journey going to change? Are we seeing some advancements? Is the technology changing?
Yeah, we've had a R&D development path. Our technology is essentially a very smart algorithm, and the hardware component is just the mini computer that algorithm operates on. So we don't have it in the cloud. It's actually physically at the site. So in the event that there's a lack of communication for whatever reason, it operates autonomously. However, we have with our smaller, we basically have two sizes of devices. One's more custom for chillers and big refrigeration plant and so on. The other is specifically for these rooftop air conditioning units, small fridge plant, and most recently VRV, VRF systems. And the most recent development was that we made that a communicating device. So we now have our own dashboard where we can see when is the thermostat or whatever the controlling feature is, when is it calling for cooling or when is it calling for heating in the case of a heat pump, and when are we saving.
Yeah.
And we can remotely view that, but we can also remotely put our system into bypass.
Right, so you can adjust it.
So we can adjust it.
Yeah.
And we're in the midst of developing that same ability with our more custom systems, which are used on chillers.
Yeah.
Right now, the chiller application is one that it's hugely successful from a financial perspective because chillers are such big machines. But the commissioning process is a lengthy process because there's a lot of watching what that chiller does and how it operates to properly set up our algorithm.
Yeah.
By having remote visibility and remote control, we will be able to scale that business quite significantly.
Yeah. Because with chillers, there's a lot more moving parts, isn't there?
There are a lot more moving parts.
Yeah. It's quite complex.
And we're in central London. Chillers are probably in every one of these buildings, and like I say, they're huge consumers of power.
Yeah.
So we can be very impactful from a reduction perspective, but along with that, at least at the moment, there's a tremendous amount of commissioning that goes along with that. So we've got a development pathway in mind.
Do you think your AI is going to be coming into your products at all, or you already sort of have an algorithm which is AI has similarities?
Yes, I avoid using the term AI. I think more of it as machine learning.
Yeah.
The algorithm basically takes the input of data of how it's being asked to operate, and then makes decision on that basis. So do you want to call that AI? Yeah, I guess you could call it AI.
Yeah.
But no, there's no question that AI, I think, will be part of our future with respect to providing even more control over the way the system operates.
Or even more reporting. It can just interpret differently and produce reporting, which is the next important thing that we need to be looking at is what can we identify the return on investment. That for me, that's the measurement and verification side of it.
Right. Yeah, and so our dashboard is great for that, and the fact that we've got remote control means that we can put our system into bypass or standby, so it's not operating, even though we're not removing any wires, we're not removing any connections, and then put it back into operation mode so you can see a before and after. And we can do it over a period of days or a period of weeks so that you can kind of remove all of the variances that might occur. If we're in a hotel, for instance, which we're in quite a number of hotels, occupancy levels vary, obviously ambient temperatures vary. We can kind of average it all out by doing it out over a period of a month or 2 months where we can see what the results are.
We have met, I think we met a couple of years ago at IMEX, and we chewed some fat then. And this week I've met you twice. So we're going to see more of Ted in the UK.
Absolutely. Yeah,
which is good.
As I say, all things being equal, I should have a visa for immigration purposes in January.
Right.
I've already booked flights, so I'm going to be here on the 17th of January. I'm going back to home.
And I've heard you've already got a car lined up.
Yeah, I've got a car lined up. Yeah. Plug-in hybrid.
Wow, and that is commitment, isn't it? If you've got the car, have you got your house yet?
No.
So you got the car, but not the house.
Yeah.
Was there any reason for that?
Well, you can see what's important to me. Car, not the house. No, we got.
How does your wife feel about that?
Well, she's going to join me permanently, or more or less permanently, next September.
Right.
We've got a lot of things that we've got to take care of on the home front to kind of leave Canada and come to the UK.
Yeah.
And then we'll look for
and
a more
are you excited about this move?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
It's an adventure. Her life with me has been a big adventure.
Yeah, I can imagine. So let's come to this stage where you know the drill. I like to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Where I ask you to give us a takeaway for the people listening today. Is there anything you can give back to our industry?
I think that the takeaway is that I think that this business that we're all in, all the people in your network in particular that are in, it takes perseverance. You got to stick to it. There's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be ups and downs, but
we know that.
I think that ultimately, I love to be something where it's a win-win-win, and this is something where I can feel that that's what this is.
Yeah, 100%.
This is potentially a win for our company, which is important. Yeah. It's a win for the customer, which is important, and I guess in a very, very small way. And I don't mean to blow this up out of proportion, but it's a win for the planet.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and we need to be. I like the word consistent.
Yeah.
Consistently, day in, day out.
Yeah.
Since I left school, that's all I've been focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
And I left school when I was 4, by the way.
Okay.
No, since I left school, I worked at nuclear power, etc. But I've been focusing on reducing energy.
Yeah.
And I think just do it consistently. It's the important thing. You can't go wrong.
Yep.
You've got nothing else to fall back on.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So I think stick to it, keep on it. I think that the benefits are going to be phenomenal. There's so much opportunity there for all of the people in this business.
Yeah.
Because there is so much waste.
I have another saying around that. There's enough cake there for everyone to have a nice slice of.
Yeah.
I
agree.
To be fair with everyone, there's no such thing as competitors. We can all work together and collaborate.
Yeah,
I think that's
so.
important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I look forward to it.
Ted, I'd like to say I'm really excited you're in the UK more.
Yeah.
It's great catching up with you this start of this week and the end. I think my first meeting this week was with you.
Okay.
And then my last meeting, so we've done quite well.
Yeah,
and
we've
been lots of chit chat as well. So it's great catching up.
Well, I see you as a great networker. I've been following you for quite a number of years now, right? And I see all the posts that you do. I see all the interviews that you do, and I think you bring some great technologies and people and so on to the table. So I love to be part of that network.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
We love you on board, so it's brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming.
All right.
Thank you to my guest for joining me today on Energy Speaks Back. I'm very proud and humbled to have the opportunity to interview energy experts from around the world, and I hope you found today's episode of value. Don't forget to listen to the previous episodes because they are full of insights to help you make a real impact on energy efficiency. And remember, tiny changes that we make today can bring us profound savings in the future. Together, we can drive change and make a difference. That leaves me with one more thing to say. Please, you and your family, be safe in these times.